America's story begins on a vast land filled with promise, where the early settlers dreamed of a society guided by freedom and opportunity. In this narrative, I invite you to travel back in time to a period when the spark of revolution was just beginning to ignite. The land was rich with both challenges and dreams, a place where harsh realities met the hopeful ideas of liberty. As the new nation started to take shape, brave souls began imagining a community where each person's rights were respected and the government served the people, not the other way around. While this journey was fraught with obstacles and imperfections, it was also marked by an unwavering determination to create something better. The story of America is one of both great achievements and undeniable flaws. It is the tale of a nation built on the ideals of democracy and liberty, yet marred by struggles that persist even today. In the chapters that follow, you will encounter moments of conflict, brilliant minds, and relentless optimism. The narrative sets the stage for exploring how leaders like George Washington, Benjamin Franklin, and Thomas Jefferson played pivotal roles and how their actions combined to forge a legacy. In the days before independence, America was a mosaic of colonies under British rule. The landscape was defined by the rigid structures of an empire that enforced strict controls, while everyday people longed for autonomy. In this time, the daily lives of the colonists were interwoven with both hardship and hope. Farmers tilling their lands, traders negotiating in busy ports, and townspeople discussing the latest pamphlets. This period, steeped in centuries-old traditions from Europe, was also a crucible for new ideas. Enlightenment thinking had seeped into colonial life, inspiring debates about natural rights, the nature of government, and the role of justice in society. These discussions were not confined to the salons of Europe. They rippled through the colonies and planted the first seeds of democratic thought. Meanwhile, interactions with indigenous peoples, though often marked by conflict and tragedy, also contributed to the evolving perspective on how different communities could coexist in a shared space. The collision of old world order and emerging new ideals created a simmering tension, one that demanded change. This comprehensive backdrop of economic pressures, cultural clashes, and philosophical exploration set the stage for a bold defiance against external rule. Across the colonies, simmering unrest began to boil over into actions that would forever alter the course of history. As regulations tightened and taxes increased without representation, ordinary citizens found themselves facing decisions that would challenge centuries of established order. The narrative of resistance unfolds through a series of protests, petitions, and eventual rebellion. In bustling town squares and quiet meeting houses alike, citizens shared stories of oppression and whispered plans of self-rule. This period is marked by a growing sense of unity among people from different walks of life, all bound by the collective desire to break free of an overreaching foreign power. With tensions mounting, small acts of defiance, boycotting imported goods, and joining protests became the building blocks of a revolution. The lives of everyday citizens were suddenly intertwined with a larger dream, one that demanded courage in the face of uncertainty. The road was far from smooth. The journey was paved with conflict, sacrifice, and moments of doubt. But it was precisely this mix of struggle and resolve that eventually led to the bold declaration of independence. In these pivotal moments, the spirit of liberty began to manifest in tangible ways as communities embraced the painful yet necessary steps toward creating their own nation. The narrative of independence, therefore, is not simply a story of political separation. It is a story of shared struggle, collective sacrifice, and the unyielding belief that a better society, one based on the principles of freedom and fairness, was within reach. Stepping into the heart of America's revolutionary fervor, we meet three towering figures whose contributions became the bedrock of the nation's destiny. First, there is George Washington, whose life stands as a symbol of steadfast leadership amid chaos. His calm determination and willingness to shoulder the burdens of command in the face of overwhelming odds galvanized the colonial forces. In battlefields and encampments, he exemplified the resilience and unity required to forge a path toward independence. Washington's legacy is not one of flawless heroism. Like every man of his time, he wrestled with the limitations of his era. yet he remained committed to the cause of uniting a diverse people under a common banner. Next, the brilliant Benjamin Franklin enters the narrative, a man of humor, intellect, and boundless innovation. Franklin's role transcended that of a mere statesman. His wit and charm served as vital tools in rallying both domestic and international support. His diplomatic missions, particularly those in Europe, were marked by his ability to mix scientific inquiry with sagacious political maneuvering. Franklin's multifaceted approach helped bridge the gap between Enlightenment ideals and the tangible needs of a struggling nation, highlighting the importance of practical wisdom in the pursuit of idealistic goals. Then we find Thomas Jefferson, whose spirit was embodied in his elegant writing and visionary ideas. As the principal author of the Declaration of Independence, Jefferson captured the essence of liberty in words that resonated with the soul of a nation. His belief in the unalienable rights of every individual laid the philosophical cornerstone of American democracy. However, Jefferson's life, too, was a study in contradiction. While he ardently championed freedom, he grappled with the prevailing inequalities of his time. Together, these three men wove a tapestry of leadership, marked by both brilliance and imperfection. Their distinct personalities and differing approaches to governance and reform created a dynamic interplay of ideas. In a time of great uncertainty, their collective vision was to build a nation that could serve as a beacon for democratic ideals, even if the road ahead was fraught with challenges. Their achievements are celebrated not as the result of flawless genius, but as the outcome of determined human effort, negotiation, and the willingness to learn from mistakes. Through their static portraits in history, we see reflections of both the lofty ideals and the pragmatic compromises that continue to shape the democratic experiment in the United States. As the dust of revolution settled, a new challenge emerged: how to govern a nation built on the unsteady foundations of idealism and struggle. This period saw the transformation of revolutionary aspirations into concrete political structures that would guide the young nation for generations. The narrative now turns to the creation of foundational documents such as the Constitution and the Bill of Rights. In crafting these texts, the Founding Fathers engaged in intense debates and thoughtful compromises, determined to create a system that balanced power and protected individual liberties. Their discussions, often heated yet marked by mutual respect, led to the establishment of separate branches of government, a deliberate move to prevent any single entity from holding too much control. The structure of checks and balances was designed with human imperfection in mind, a humble acknowledgement that no government could be flawless. Through this process, the dream of democracy was given a tangible form, one that also recognized its own limitations and the need for continuous improvement. In recounting these developments, the narrative reveals how the careful blend of theory and practicality ultimately resulted in a living system of governance. The young nation was not built overnight, but through a gradual evolution of ideas that bridged the gap between lofty ideals and the messy reality of human society. As the blueprint of the Constitution emerged, so too did a framework that allowed for adaptation and growth. A framework intended to stand as a guide for addressing the ever-changing needs of the people, while steadfastly honoring the principles of liberty and justice for all. Today, the legacy of America's founding still resonates in every corner of the nation and around the globe. The narrative of democracy, born out of struggle and inspiring leadership, continues to evolve as communities grapple with both past imperfections and future possibilities. The ideals of liberty and justice have become enduring symbols, guiding civic discourse and informing policies in ways that echo the dreams of those early leaders. While America remains a work in progress, marked by debates over equality, rights, and the distribution of power, the story of its founding serves as a reminder that progress is achieved one step at a time. These principles of self-governance and inherent human dignity not only inspire citizens to participate in democracy, but also influence countless movements for freedom and reform worldwide. The legacy of the Founding Fathers is a living call to nurture a society that constantly seeks a more perfect union, proudly wearing the badge of democracy with an honest acknowledgement of its flaws. This ongoing journey, rooted in the passion for liberty, reminds us that every generation has the power to shape a future that honors the lessons of the past while boldly stepping into the promise of tomorrow.